So let's take a look at some of the more intriguing passages in this probable cause affidavit. Now, the first topic I'm going to discuss in this video relates to the potential of there being another individual separate to Richard Allen involved in these murders. I'll explain more as we go on. Let's take a look at the following section of this document here. Interviews were conducted with 3 juveniles, redacted and redacted. They advised they were on the Monon High Bridge Trail on February 13th, 2017. They advised they were walking on the trail toward Freedom Bridge to go home when they encountered a male walking from Freedom Bridge toward the Monon High Bridge. Redacted described the male as, quote, kind of creepy, and advised he was wearing, quote, like blue jeans, a really light blue jacket, and his hair was grey, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She advised the jacket was a duck canvas type jacket. Redacted advised she said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She recalled him being in all black and had something covering his mouth. She described him as, quote, not very tall, with a bigger build. She said he was not bigger than 5'10". Redacted advised he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans and black boots. She stated he had his hands in his pockets. Redacted showed investigators photographs she took on her phone while she was on the trail that day. Now, when I narrated this document in its entirety last night, this part really perplexed me. We start off with a description of a male wearing a blue jacket, blue jeans, very similar to the man seen on the video in front of you. All of that seems to make perfect logical sense. But then we almost get the merging of a second individual, who is described as wearing a black hoodie, black jeans and black boots. He was dressed all in black. So what I think we're looking at here, most definitely, is 2 completely separate individuals. Now, I will say that it isn't particularly clear what is being described in this passage or who is describing it. But as I say, the feeling that I get after reading this is that this cannot be the same person. One individual wearing a really light blue jacket, blue jeans, another individual wearing a black hoodie, black jeans and black boots. To me, these are 2 separate individuals. Now, when I read that particular description, a man who was wearing all black, black hoodie, black jeans and black boots, not very tall with a bigger build. There's one person that springs to mind, particularly where the dress sense is concerned. Black t-shirt, black jeans, black boots. We know of someone, don't we, who likes to wear the colour black. We know of someone who may well be connected to this case in some way, shape or form. And that individual is Keegan Kline. Now, for me, this could explain why Keegan Kline supposedly failed a polygraph test surrounding the Delphi murders, and really why police have been adamant that he at least had some knowledge of who committed this crime. I think we need to remember here that when we take a look back at Keegan Kline's police interview, this wasn't just a conversation regarding CSAM and indecent images on his devices. This was a really in-depth conversation trying to get to the bottom of who was the perpetrator of these murders. When we combine that with the fact that after these murders were committed, both Keegan Kline and his father Tony Kline went to Las Vegas. Now, during that trip, this was supposed to be 2 individuals living their best lives, going out to see strippers, smoking loads of weed, just chilling out and having a good time. But that doesn't appear to be what is going on in Keegan Kline's mind during that time period. He spends a lot of time researching the case, leads in the Delphi murders. How long does DNA last on a body? That is actually a search term that he searched for. How long does DNA last on a body? He also started listening to the voice of the man on the bridge over and over again. For me personally, when I reread that part of the affidavit there, they cannot be talking about the same person. I mean, they're just completely different individuals, at least from what I'm reading here. Light blue jacket on one individual wearing blue jeans. Another individual dressed all in black, black hoodie, black jeans and black boots. I don't see how we can't be talking or looking at 2 different individuals here. It's not just the individual that you see in front of you walking across the bridge that is being described by this eyewitness here. Now, moving on from this for one moment, if we look at a potential connection here between Richard Allen and Keegan Kline, could this come in the form of the Anthony Shots account? Now, I came up with a theory this morning, which actually, after thinking about it for quite a long time, I've actually gone back on that theory, and I'll explain why I've done that. My original thought was that could it have been that Richard Allen was indeed trying to set up the user of the Anthony Shots account? Now, what I mean by that is that we have this conversation in Keegan Kline's police interview discussing conversation between the Anthony Shots account and Liberty German. We also have conversation post the murders to one of Liberty German's friends, where the Anthony Shots account actually says to her friend, "Oh my God, I was supposed to meet Liberty that day," or something to that effect. Now, what led me to originally believe that could be a possibility was the fact that we have these conversations, as I say, between Anthony Shots and Liberty German, Anthony Shots and Liberty German's friends post the murders, and I'm thinking to myself, who would really do that after the murders had been committed? And then what drew my attention was the investigation, or I should say, the police interview of Keegan Kline, where they're talking about the day of the murders. Anthony Shots' profile, log in, log out. You're at home, there's two devices, log in, log out. Now, it doesn't explicitly say that both of those phones are connected at his home. They basically say you're at home and there's two devices connecting to the Anthony Shots profile. That's at least how I read it. So my original thought process was, could this be Richard Allen as a secondary user of the Anthony Shots account? Maybe some kind of power struggle over the account, log in, log out, log in, log out, early morning on the day of the murders. Could Richard Allen be one of the users of that particular account? Another thing which tipped me off to that being also a possibility is the fact that we have Liberty German recording the man walking across the bridge. Now, we don't know, do we, whether this individual was aware that he was being recorded, whether he saw the phone after the murders. But what we do know is that the phone was left at the crime scene. And I've always had this feeling that this was done intentionally. This was done because if they do recover Liberty German's phone, then it may well lead back to none other than Anthony Shots. So inevitably, when they recover the phone from the crime scene, they trace back the Anthony Shots profile, it will lead them to none other than the creator of that account, Keegan Kline. Now, we know about Keegan Kline, don't we? We know that he uses the surface web. He was someone who wasn't very well versed in hiding his illegal activities, shall we say. Was Richard Allen aware of that? Was it a case of, oh my God, what happened to Liberty after the murders? Because it wasn't Keegan Kline saying that, it was Richard Allen. Because who are they going to go to when the friend comes forward and says, oh yeah, I was speaking to someone on social media, they said they were supposed to meet Liberty that day. Oh, who was it? Oh, Anthony Shots. No one in their right mind, as I say, is going to kill two individuals and then send a message from their phone and say, oh my God, I was supposed to meet them that day, unless they were trying to draw attention to that particular profile. Now, on the flip side of this, why do I believe that actually this is quite unlikely? Well, to put it in the most simplest terms, it's because Richard Allen is an idiot. I mean, this guy has come forward to the police and said, I was wearing a blue jacket, blue jeans, I was wearing a hoodie under my jacket, I've kept hold of the weapon that was used. Now, I don't care if he hasn't realised that this bullet's fallen out, or he hasn't realised that he's been seen, whatever, what does it really matter? You wouldn't keep anything. You would burn your socks, your pants, your shoes, your underwear, anything that you had on you that day should be destroyed. The gun, thrown away, hidden, buried about 50 feet underground. Anything that you had with you on that day, anyone with any common sense would just destroy absolutely everything. Yet Richard Allen has kept hold of that gun. Now, to me, that tells me that he's not the sharpest tool in the toolbox, shall we say. And then we have some discussion regarding the blue jacket. Now, by all accounts, this blue jacket still exists. But what I haven't seen mentioned anywhere is that this jacket could have easily have been replaced. He could have gone out, purchased a new one. Oh, look, yep, this was the jacket I was wearing that day. They've tested it for DNA and surprise, surprise, there's nothing there. So don't discount the possibility that he has gone out and bought another jacket. It's a very common jacket, a very common brand, common with blue-collar workers in the States by all accounts. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility here that this guy has just replaced that jacket with a like for like, so to speak. When we move to Richard Allen's statement, though, however, he starts to talk about, yes, I went out onto the bridge. I mean, this guy even says that I went out onto the first platform, which is going to tally up with the eyewitness, isn't it? He said he went out onto the bridge to watch the fish. Now, he's about 60 or 70 feet up in the air. I mean, unless he's got binoculars on him or bloody X-ray vision, I mean, who the hell believed this? I think this is one of the things I'm most confused about, really, is the fact that it appears that law enforcement have gone after the separate piece to this puzzle. They've gone after the most complicated and distant part of this crime. They haven't gone after the man that said, hello there, my name's Richard Allen, and I walked across the bridge, and I'm wearing a blue jacket, and I'm wearing blue jeans, and I had a hoodie on. Why haven't they gone after this individual? What the hell is going on? They went after Keegan Kline, the person who I believe is described as wearing the black clothing, black hoodie, black jeans, black boots. Yet they utterly fail to go after the big piece of the puzzle. I just don't know what the hell has taken place in this case. Even when we get new information, it just seems to be even more confusion. There's no clarity here whatsoever. And I think one of the reasons why they've kept this document sealed for so long is because it's bloody embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. You had an individual who came forward and said, I was on the bridge. You know, this is something I want you to remember. When he came forward, he wasn't aware, he may not have been aware, that he had been videoed. So he may have come forward and said, okay, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them exactly what I was wearing, because there are witnesses, there were those girls that saw me. But what he wasn't expecting was a video to be circulated globally of him walking across the bridge. Yet police have somehow failed to notice that he came forward and said, yes, I was there. I was wearing a blue jacket, blue jeans, and a hoodie under my jacket. So with all of that combined, the fact that I don't believe that we're dealing with some criminal mastermind here, some kind of serial killer who leaves cryptic clues. This guy's a bloody idiot. He's an absolute idiot. I mean, he's kept the weapon for 5, nearly 6 years. Potentially even the blue jacket. I mean, you have to ask yourselves at home, what the hell is going on in this case? What the hell is going on? I really do think that this other individual, the black clothing individual, black boots, black hoodie, black everything, I think this was the reason for the secondary sketch. And you had Doug Carter coming out saying, you know, it's a mixture of these two people, this, that and the other. I just don't think they knew what they were doing. I really don't. They went down the most convoluted, complex route of all in the Anthony Shots thing, Keegan Kline, the CSAM. Where's the connection? Where's the connection? The bloody connection came forward to you straight after the murders. I mean, I don't get that. How do you miss that? I mean, he's basically handed himself in. Pretty much, he's handed himself in. And the police have simply let him go. Moving away from this topic, we then have talk about vehicles in this affidavit. We've got Richard Allen's Ford Focus, and they state that there's a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's passing at 127, passing here, passing there towards the former CPS building. They're talking about this vehicle. Again, how do they really know that it's his vehicle? I mean, it's a Ford Focus. It could be anybody's, couldn't it? I mean, it's not exactly, you know, bombshell evidence, is it? Let's be honest. And then they talk about a Ford Focus being similar to a smart car or a small SUV or a PT Cruiser. I'm sorry, a Ford Focus does not resemble any of those vehicles. Now, I might be wrong in that. I'm not exactly a car mechanic, but from what I know, from what I've seen online, a Ford Focus does not resemble any of those cars. I mean, how can you say that a small SUV is like a smart car? Very, very odd. Anyway, let's leave this video here for today. Please leave your own thoughts and theories in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button below for future content. And I look forward to seeing you all again for the next video. Take care. Cheers.